Jetzt, genau, Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai. So Hare Krishna and welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam class this morning. So we continue to read in the 5th canto, chapter 16. We're going through verses 22 to 24, right? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Jevam Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Ayam Dutirayet Nasta Prayeshu Patrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Text 22 is quite some prose, so I will go word by word simply, right? 22 to 24, yeah, all of them are like. Also, shall we just go with the translation? Yeah, all right. Okay, yeah, save some time. We go just translation is good. Translation and purport by Sri Prabhupada. On the side of Suparshva mountain stands a big tree called Mahakadamba, which is very celebrated. From the hollows of this tree flow 5 rivers of honey, each about 5 vyamas wide. This flowing honey falls incessantly from the top of Suparshva mountain and flows all around Ilavrita-varsha, beginning from the western side. Thus the whole land is saturated with a pleasing fragrance. The distance between one hand and another, when one spreads both his arms, is called a vyama. This comes to about 8 feet. Thus each of the rivers was about 40 feet wide, making a total about 200 feet. Text 23. The air carrying the scent from the mouth of those who drink that honey perfumes the land for 100 yojanas around. Text 24. Translation and purport. Similarly, on Kumuda mountain there is a great banyan tree, which is called Shatavalsha because it has 100 main branches. From those branches come many roots from which many rivers are flowing. These rivers flow down from the top of the mountain to the northern side of Ilavrita-varsha for the benefit of those who live there. Because of these flowing rivers, all the people have ample supplies of milk, yogurt, honey, clarified butter, molasses, food grains, clothes, bedding, sitting places, and ornaments. All the objects they desire are sufficiently supplied for their prosperity, and therefore they are very happy. Purport. The prosperity of humanity does not depend on a demoniac civilization that has no culture and no knowledge, but has only gigantic skyscrapers and huge automobiles always rushing down the highways. The products of nature are sufficient. When there is a profuse supply of milk, yogurt, honey, food grains, ghee, molasses, dhotis, saris, bedding, sitting places, and ornaments, the residents are actually opulent. When a profuse supply of water from the river inundates the land, all these things can be produced, and there will not be scarcity. This all depends, however, on the performance of sacrifice as described in the Vedic literature. Anat bhavanti bhutani parchanyat anasambhava yakyat bhavati paryanyo yakyai karma samudbhavaha. Jagannapadesa Bacharita ki jai, Shri Gaunita ki jai, Shri Shura Damodara ki jai. Translation: all living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yakya, sacrifice, and yakya is born of prescribed duties. These are the prescriptions given in Bhagavad Gita 3.14. If people follow these principles in full Krishna consciousness, human society will be prosperous and they will be happy both in this life and in the next. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gnanjana-shalakaya Chakshuram-militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya-manopishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Garamayam Darati Svavarantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vagishayasya vadhane, Lakshmiryasya chavakshasi, Yasya te hridaye samvit, Tam narasimham aham bhaje, Pralada hridayaladam, Bhaktavitya vidaram, Sharatinduruchim vande parintravandanam harim. So we're in the middle of descriptions of Jambudvip. So there are higher planetary systems, then there is lower planetary systems, and all of them have their particular standard of living. And a few verses before you heard, like, because this description we hear now in these verses with the rivers of honey and so on, and the carrying scent from the mouth of those who drink that honey, that perfumes the land for 100 yojanas around, that's certainly heavenly planets. This doesn't happen here in this sphere. And we heard about, you heard about these mango fruits, big as an elephant, with a very tiny seed falling down from trees which are like kilometers high, and then by entering, or like by getting to the ground, they splash open. And all the juice forms rivers, and that go through the lands, and they mix with the ground, and everything is very pleasing. So it's like a wonderland of enjoyment described here. It seems to be very attractive. And also, I think previously, just the verse had been, Srila Prabhupada in the purport also remarked a few things about, like here also, what is actually true prosperity or true wealth. And he mentioned also that, like before, that people nowadays we have very low quality items, but still think it's very much of enjoyment. And he mentioned, for example, plastic, based on oil. Plastic is based on oil, and also jewelry, so-called jewelry of plastic, is actually worthless. It maybe I'm sorry, because maybe it looks a bit nice, but actually it doesn't have in itself a natural, a good quality like crystals would have, or diamonds would have, or gold would have, silver would have. And also for the deities, usually it's not a good thing to offer them plastic jewelry, right? And usually many devotees, they take care. We want to give them something natural, can be crystals, for example, or silver and gold, ideally to a higher degree. I also try for my deities to have as less plastic as possible, and rather this kind of crystals or real items. It's not always possible to get it fully, but this would be the natural thing, which has also value in itself, because the matter itself is more of a higher, quality than that. And I'm sorry, I need to. Srila Prabhupada mentions also how the people who live in such natural environment, which is also, of course, influencing the way, what is the intake of people. And here, it is mentioned from these rivers of honey that they drink from. And also there, of course, the intake also manifests a certain quality of body. Also what the body odor, for example, is something usually when we start sweating or wake up in the morning, there's never a pleasant taste or smell, right? Have you ever... Did you ever wake up with the really pleasant taste or smell of body? I think not. It's just not the nature of this body at that time. And depending what kind of physical nature we struggle more with certain things or less. But if there's high quality of food, healthy food, also the body reacts to it. In terms of how is everything working, but also the smell, the odor, everything. And they say they are sent, of those who drink their honey perfumes the land. And Prabhupada also mentions that these people don't have wrinkles before that in the purport was mentioned. That they don't grow old like that, like the body doesn't struggle in so many ways, because the environment, the food, everything which is there is more natural and that therefore more healthy. And Srila Prabhupada always points also out in this purport how the prosperity of humanity does not depend on demonic civilization that has no culture, no knowledge, but has only gigantic skyscrapers and huge automobiles always rushing down the highways. You know, we struggle a lot with pollution, so many things. Yeah, we have like environment pollution is a big issue since many decades. The more we so-called advance industrially, technically. So Bhagavatam, also Srila Prabhupada, always sends out a call, return to a more natural way of living. That's what is there. And that becomes increasingly difficult for people, including me, because we are more and more accustomed to a more artificial world and lifestyle, you know, in terms of who can go live on a farm. That's great. And like, yeah, be really in this way in touch, grow the food, live simple, and like not depend too much on so many artificial or, you know, needs and things we have. So it's a big thing actually to reconnect with what is considered here the most natural way of living. Srila Prabhupada lists quite a few things which can be rightfully considered wealth. Because it's about living comfortably, but the principle is the comfort shall facilitate higher thinking. That we don't have to struggle too much with maintaining ourselves, but also not get carried away by simply trying to increase comfort. So, of course, it's good to have something where you live in a way, like in a place to live, or you're also doing the food you have, that is like sufficient enough to also satisfy the body. But it's important to see it's not the aim of life to have, how to say, a most comfortable living situation or life situation. He also mentions here dhotis and saris. Of course, this connects to a particular cultural background, but for others it might be simply proper clothing for the, how to say, geographical area you live in. Not everywhere you can wear dhotis and saris, it's just not. But yeah, it's about proper clothing that facilitates your comfort. And he says, what does it depend on? And it's yakya. And Brahma himself passed down these yakya. He advised everyone, perform this yakya, this is the verse 314. Because with this, everything is provided, or like this secures your well-being. So when we think of yakya, of course, we think primarily of the Sankirtan yakya. Yakya means sacrifice, and sacrifice means giving, serving, dedicating. And of course, it also involves the classical, the fire yakya involves grains, ghee, and so on, some of these items that are mentioned there. And it's about like entering the cycle of receiving and returning. Yakya is about recognizing, we had this also last time in the classes, about recognizing that we, on the receiving end, we don't create or manifest anything that is like given to us on planet Earth, right? We don't dictate the plants to grow, the sun to shine, the rain to fall, etc. This is done by a higher power, the demigods, which are again under the direction of the supersoul or Vishnu. And if humanity forgets about that or neglects to reciprocate with that which is given by the demigods, or like through Vishnu, through the demigods by Vishnu, it will lead to scarcity. It's a simple principle. Because it's one-sided, it's like thievery, you would say. It's like taking something but not returning. It's like you don't go to a shop and like fill your bag and then just leave. No, you pay, right? It's not. And similarly, The principle of karma dictates that since you're not the rightful owner, because nothing comes from you, nothing is dependent on you in the terms of elements and nature, we are indebted. It says also it starts to be indebted by our parents, the mother and father who develop, the mother in particularly within the womb develops this body, protects this body. And then the family who maintains, who makes you grow up, all the people who teach you, support you, a society that facilitates so many things like your education, training. So there's what we also have here, social contract it's called. But it's very difficult to keep up this mentality that we actually also owe people something. There's a tendency to be more and more egotistic and narcissistic, even thinking, I don't owe anyone. Yes, you do. Because no one is independent. That's the big illusion. If you think I'm completely independent in my existence, that's illusion. Because that this body even comes to existence, grows up, all the skills we have, all the education we have, we owe to someone. It's other people, it's parents, it's a bigger family, it's the society. So therefore we are indebted, and it's a natural understanding also in Vedic society to return. And there's any kind of society that is based on common sense understands that, right? That there is a mutual dependency, which requires reciprocation. Youngers take care of the elders, but then also as you have been taken care by the elders when you were small, all right? So that's an important thing. But overall, no one is the even though we depend on others, they also again depend on others. And if we go that chain up, we end up with Vishnu or Krishna. But Vishnu is more for the material world. He's the one in charge. But it's whom we depend upon. It's him whom we depend upon. I'm sorry. All right, that's Isha. Ishavasya, the principle. That's how it's explained. And like this, we can be in tune if you understand this. But if the illusion is maintained, I do not owe. What would I owe God? He owes me. People get upset when they don't get what they want. Let's say, but I made a prayer, or I did this and that, but Krishna didn't, or God didn't provide me with this and that, so therefore I don't believe in him. Which is an interesting thing. Would it mean I don't believe that he is my well-wisher and that I have a relationship, or do I deny the very existence of God based on that? It's very narcissistic. If you give me or fulfill my desire, I acknowledge you. If not, you are dead to me. Right? Come on. It's harsh. Right? But anyway, since Krishna is or God is the supreme independent, he also doesn't depend on whether you are happy or unhappy with him. It's like that. And it's even said Krishna is always, no matter how a soul behaves, even if he has demoniac civilization, even if conditioned souls start to act very destructive and offend practically the creation and thus also the creator, he's unaffected. Narada Muni explains this in a conversation with Maharaj Yudhishthira, because Maharaj Yudhishthira was inquiring why apparently Krishna treated Shishupal, the great demon, favorably by letting him enter into his body, giving him liberation. He said, here's a big demon, what was that? And other great yogis and saints, for lifetime after lifetime, they struggle with their practice to come to that point to be liberated. And this was the beginning of this whole conversation, and Narada Muni argues that Krishna is equal to everyone, he is impartial. And he explains he is not affected by prayers. It means that he's flattered or, impressed. But also by blasphemy, he's not disturbed. But he only sees whether a soul in some way, either in this negative or positive way, makes him part of his thoughts or his energy, Because also some kind of attention, if you blaspheme or curse on God, still there's God involved. If you have no thought whatsoever about God, then that's difficult. That's, for example, why I said King Vena did go to hell. He was like a very demonic person. He killed the Brahmins. He interrupted sacrifice. He tortured other living, even as a child already, other living beings. His childhood friends. He took pleasure in drowning them and strangling them. Like, it's like a sociopath, like big time. So, but his thing was he was not actively offending or cursing on God. It was like, for him, it didn't exist in his mind, kind of. He was completely atheistic. So therefore there was also no negative kind of connection to the Lord. And therefore, for instance, he got really straight to hell. Whereas Shishupal, for example, he was so busy blaspheming Krishna all the time, like cursing. And he was obsessed, but in a negative way. So that is explained how, because of this, there was still some type of, maybe there is some type of yoga of cursing, I don't know, but like apparently we should not take this as an example. But just to say that Krishna appreciates whatever energy, like whatever consciousness or time is directed toward him in what way ever, he will acknowledge that. But we, of course, in the mood of bhakti is the pleasant, anyapilashita shunyam jnana karma, anavritam, anukulyena, Krishna nu, shiranam bhakti ruttama. We in a mood to please the Lord, with the intention to please, to acknowledge our dependency, for example, but to give back. This is yakya. I say, Krishna, I received so much from you. Every day I receive. Every day your body is healthy and functions, you can be grateful. I tell you that not because I'm very sick and wie sagt man auf dem letzten Loch? Anyway, there's some. But it's about, I work in the healthcare field, and I see people who struggle in various ways with health, mental health, physical health, pain syndromes and all that. And that makes life very difficult, right? And so actually, if you can do the things you can do without much struggle, means really serious health issues, you are blessed. It's also said, if someone is healthy, if someone is beautiful, if someone is intelligent, it's a blessing of the Lord. It's good karma. This doesn't come from us saying, oh yeah, I did it, because I'm great. No, it's because Vishnu blessed you with this, Same as we have to carry the consequences for demonic lifestyle or with, for example, suffering from various diseases. They don't come from nowhere. It's also not like a whimsical wrath of God, like it might appear so, like in the Abrahamic religions, like with the Bible, because God declares himself to be jealous and he's very much into punishment. But it's not the God concept we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is not, because he's not affected. There's no jealousy in Krishna towards his own living entity. Based on what? Why should Krishna be jealous? If someone has reason to be jealous, it's us because we are small. He's Vibhu, we are Anu. We're very tiny. And people struggle with depending on someone else because they think I'm maybe taken advantage of, or I'm suppressed, or like feel I'm inferior. So therefore they don't like that. We don't like this idea, like having someone above us. But a person usually above, of course, he can be envious of those under him because he doesn't want to grant them that they grow up, that they become bigger, maybe equal, so on. This can also be a form of envy. But since Krishna doesn't lack anything, if you do well, there's no envy. There's no loss. Even he's happy if you do well, and particularly if you use, or if we use our body and mind to reciprocate with him the care and love he sends us. This is what he wants. Krishna is interested in reciprocation. And yeah, since we don't do the yagyas like in the ancient times, of course we do some fire yagyas, some priests are around, we do them. But our main yagya is like that we dedicate our time, our energy, our moods. There's also something we give feelings, we give moods, we give thoughts, we give time, but also physical energy, mental energy to chant the holy names. And mantra can have many functions. It can be invocation, like when we chant Isopanishad mantra, Om Purnamada Purnamidam, and so on. Then we invoke also the presence of the Lord. You know, it's invocative mantras. It's also said, Hare in Hare Krishna. Hare is Hara is the invocative form of Radha. It's more like the a powerful aspect. And we want to make Krishna present. Please invite him in our hearts and minds, so in order to connect, So it's an invitation. Please, Krishna, let's connect and let me serve you. Let me be again in my natural position to serve. And the service is not one-sided, because Krishna serves us all the time, as we said, like everything we have, that we have this body, this opportunity to live, to enjoy various sceneries, like heavenly planets as they are described here, earthly planets, but also hellish planets have their enjoyment, So, and who is providing all that? It's Krishna. It's his service to the living entity. I said also Balaram, who is the origin of the Vishnu Tattva, he carries all the creative potency. He's entrusted with all the creative power. Spiritual worlds he maintains, material nature through Mahavishnu, who manifests the Mahatattva. And that's service. Manifesting a whole world. It's like, what bigger service can you do? And then there's also Brahma, who is like brought into existence by Garbhodakasha Vishnu, the form within each universe before the secondary creation starts. And he brings forth Brahma, who is considered unborn, because Vishnu doesn't need a female counterpart to produce another living entity. So he's called Svayambhu, so he's on the lotus flower. And also he, out of himself, can manifest or bodies or different types of living entities. And there's also Svayambhuva Manu, is the first, comes from Brahma, and also Shatarupa, the wife of Svayambhuva Manu. And I said, first of all, it was not visible that they had a relationship like father-son, father-daughter, because they were like considered, the Sanskrit word, I don't have it, like being part of the body of Brahma. And later it got separated male-female. Before there wasn't. So from Brahma also this male-female creation started. And Brahma is the one, the engineer is not right, it's the Baumeister, how you call it, the one who oversees, he's the one who actually builds, based on the blueprint of the universe. And he's connected to Garbhodakasha Vishnu. And Garbhodakasha Vishnu is called Narayan, and this has many meanings. One meaning is that out of his body tremendous amounts of water are manifested when he fills the universe up to the half. And he lays there and he enjoys his yoga nidra, mystic trance. And Narayan means also, Nara is living entity, us, and Ayana means a resting place. So we reside within his belly during the time of Brahma's sleep. And there we maintain also our subtle bodies, and then we can, through the lotus stem, actually coming from his body, we are, from there, distributed. Yeah, we put to we put to the places, to different planets. And it said also this lotus stem has a golden, it radiates in a golden way. Because we are living entities, we are spiritual energy, souls, lightful beings, and therefore this also is like has a golden glimmer, say. And then Brahma, he takes out of Garbhodakasha Vishnu's body the planetary systems, because they are present there in a subtle state, it said. It's very fascinating. And Garbhodakasha Vishnu provides everything, and Brahma then designs or structures the whole 14 planetary systems around the lotus stem. And then he populates all the planets. Not everything by himself. He creates Prajapatis. So a lot of service is done before even we can start taking our birth and claiming things. That's what we do. It's said even in Sanskrit, I think, Mama and Papa. Mama, for example, it means mine, right? Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. That's the first thing we come up with. Mine. Give me. It said also it's the mentality of a conditioned souls, ahankara, prakriti kyamanani, gunai karmani sarvashaha, ahankara vimudatma, kartahamiti manyate. That confused by false ego, the conditioned soul thinks himself to be owner, enjoyer, possessor, and also the doer of things, although in truth, with your nature does everything, which is under the supervision of Vishnu. So this whole claim already, it's me, it's mine, or like always this focus on this conception that we are the actual persons who have a right to claim things. That's our core problem. And we don't see, we have already been provided with so much service, and actually Krishna can say, no, you are mine. Because it said in the Upanishad, also in the first mantra, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagjam jagat tena jakchena punkchitama krita kashyasvidhanam. Prabhupada mentions there's para and apara prakriti, these both natures, material energy, and also we as jivas, we are part of his energy, tatashta shakti. Yeah. And also we originate from him and are maintained by him. If he wouldn't desire us to be, we wouldn't be. It's not up to us, actually, whether we are or not. It's his desire. Like this world. It's also said Mahavishnu actually dreams this world. It's his dream, his desire, and if he decides to, oh, we'll wake up, I leave this, the material energy will be dormant again. I mean, he decides to do that because he first of all recognizes, okay, the jivas I created, they're my parts and parcels. I love them, I care for them. And if they want to be independent from me, I give them this material world where they can have this dream of independence and enjoyment. But also he cares for his material energy, he says. Like is compared to Krishna has many wives. Material energy is also one wife, and she was not happy, or at least not so taken care of as the other wives. And he said, I have to do something for her as well. So he started the creation like this. So he also pleases his energy. He's pleasing everyone, biggest servant. And so therefore, he is the one who has a claim to his energies, but not the energies don't have a claim to the energies themselves or the energetic. So that's a very important philosophical understanding that lays the foundation of devotion. If this isn't there, there's no question of devotion. Or like there's some fake devotion. It's like with Hiranyakashipu. It was very dedicated to a mystic yoga practice to an extent no one has ever seen. Even Brahma, this person, he was so impressed. He told him, wow, I never saw someone doing that. There was just a skeleton left. How can this even be? Like the skeleton, and you still remain there. There's what to speak of. We have like one organ missing, like the heart. Boom, we would be gone. Somehow or other this worked, and then Brahma sprinkled his water on the skeleton, and Hiranyakashipu reattained his whole body and was like a shining, radiant body. Jagannath Baladev Subhadevi Ki Jai, Shishikohantai Ki Jai. And he was immensely powerful. And of course, but it was revealed what his intention was by the benedictions he was asking. He actually, like, straight to the eye, told Brahma, actually, you give me your position, practically. I want to rule over every other living entity, the universe. I want to be unsterblich? Deathless, or okay, immortal. So he was not performing devotion. He was worshipping, of course, Brahma and Vishnu, using a method, but the intention was not to give himself with love to serve. No, he wanted to become the master of all. So it's no devotion. But devotion is like based on the understanding that I am a part of Krishna, maintained by him. He takes care of me, and I reciprocate. That's my natural position. And therefore, it's actually also good if we live in an environment which is not too much of pleasant enjoyment, because it might divert us from that, thinking, oh yeah, it's cool, let me enjoy and let me be happy and pleasant. So suffering has an important function as well. It can be detrimental to devotion, of course. If it's too heavy, too intense, it can lead to resentment and hatred. Why is God punishing me so much? But it also gives you always this uneasiness in material world, and gradually should actually take us the hope for happiness in material world. And understand, this is not your home. This is not your home. Go back to the original place. Your home is Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan, whatever area but the spiritual world. Yes, and through Yajna also this can be realized, because then we get blessings. Yajna means not only reciprocating, but also invoking blessings of the Lord. Not just prosperity, but also spiritual advancement, awakening of consciousness. So that's what we are aiming at. And yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us also, of course, about the structures of the universe and the residents of higher planetary systems, how they live. But you will also see, of course, there are also descriptions what a problem is, even in the heavenly planets. Right? Someone like Hiranyakashipu or Bali Maharaj may come and try to conquer everything, and then there's also struggle, and you also have to die. But you are spared a lot of struggles. Like it's also said, demigods, to a certain level, they take birth and grow up. They don't have to go through all these periods. You could say, yeah, but they miss all these stages. No, they don't miss anything like that. They still have properly matured into whatever being they're supposed to be, but they don't have to go through the struggle. Because we think, but it's necessary. No, it's not. Because you can also, through another way, have that. And then also some point you just die. Pop. What everyone desires, I would like to die just sleeping in my bed and then gone. Because they don't grow old gradually and have diseases. When the time's up, it's up. And you're just gone, apparently. But still, the thing is, it's a temporary situation, and time flies by like this way or that way. And at the end, still, you're not at home. You're still in the material world. Okay, Hare Krishna, that's from my side. Are there comments, questions, remarks?
I heard demigods, they got little like notification before they have to die. The garland or the flowers start to
to wither.
Yeah. So this
is interesting. Okay.
indication. Okay, your time is up soon.
Some garlands, some flowers.
Yeah, something to do with flowers. Yeah.
Yamuna is getting. Oh, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Speaking of flowers, huh? Robert.
Thank you, Prabhu. Do the inhabitants of Jambudweep have gross bodies also, like us?
Good question. I understand Jambudweep. Have to say, I'm not so clear sometimes what is the description, whether it means like more because there's Bur and Bhumandala. Bhumandala seems to be more like heavenly planets, and Bur is actually earthly. So I think here we are talking about like heavenly planets and more subtle bodies, not as gross in terms of matters. It's said like, the more earthen it's get, the more like, more the bodies get from more subtle to more gross. So I think they don't have bodies like us.
Thank you, Prabhu. So they have subtle bodies.
More subtle, yeah. I think there's gradations, but I don't know how exactly to understand it. What kind of subtlety according to what kind of planetary system. But Brahma, for example, up to the highest is said pure intelligence, a body of pure intelligence. subtle element.
So the higher the consciousness, the more subtle the body.
In this kind of, yeah, it's also said like a devotee, a Vaishnava, a pure Vaishnava transcends this body, is considered to have already a transcendental body, although it appears to be material. If you think of Srila Prabhupada, for example, he transcended the things that the doctors at the end, when they examined the body, they saw he had this, how do you say that, die Sehnen, you know, that strings and muscles, yeah. They were actually so, they were almost gone sometimes, and they said he should have been in intense pain. You know, hardly anyone could actually survive, like really live with that, but he obviously transcended the bodily limitations, and it's considered a transcendental body, although it's still visible to our gross eyes. So I think there's a lot of mystery to it, but yeah, according to philosophy, like why you get the more subtle it is. Yeah, I think you can pass it on. I think Yamuna wanted to.
Thank you for your lecture. You were mentioning the point that, yeah, actually comforts should provide us with the time to be able to practice Krishna consciousness, and that with that comes the simple living and high thinking. And often nowadays, we as devotees, we also like to have comforts. And yeah, maybe you can elaborate on to which extent we should take help from some technical advices, and what is like really too much in your opinion. How we can
One thing to consider is like the own psychophysical constitution, which can also connect to age. Usually, the younger you are, if you're regularly healthy and so on, you can live more simple. Tendency is the older you get, based on your body cannot handle so things anymore so well, you might need a bit more comfort, as we say it, a softer bed or different kind of things, you know, like your own space. You know, like in the ashram, we don't live anywhere. Like it's too much to have people around, right? And but it's always a matter of one's own discretion as well. You know, Rupa Goswami also says one should not eat more than necessary. What does that mean? It's depending also on the body type, and you must be responsible or conscientious to say, actually, I'm filled enough. And now it would be more like, for example, emotional eating or like simply overeating for enjoyment's sake. So that's something one has to be also conscious oneself to understand, okay, what is enough? And then also based on one's constitution to recognize, okay, this is needed. Because sometimes also people deny themselves certain, let's say, maybe furniture or clothes or whatever, because out of understanding, no, I should not need that, or I should not, you know, and the body struggles. And this also, again, is a matter of personal discretion, because that tapasya or renunciation can be in the modes of goodness, passion, or ignorance, as we understand. And what is characterized for the ignorance is that you make the body simply suffer. And that's not the thing, because it's also said then, the super soul struggles if you put too much suffering in terms of too intense fasting, or no, I sleep on the hard ground although everything hurts and aches, you know. So like, or take ice cold showers although my body like hates it, you know. So or also understanding you cannot be tirelessly. You also need some amount of sleep and rest properly to do service. And to really look at also, what is your body's limitation? Because it can be some type of ego as well to think you have no limits. You have. And at some point, but I understand, which is more like laziness, convenience. I mean, I certainly live way more convenient than I need to. So I would also probably need to take myself on the nose and... Is this like answering your questions?
Just a question regarding what does it mean when we say, you know, there's ahankara is also a layer in the universe, and what does it consist of? What is it actually? Maybe because you dove into this topic.
Yes. This is also one of the mysteries I haven't, entered yet in terms of really understanding. Because yes, we have interesting concepts like also the three gunas. You know, what is that? Or can you kind of put it on the table and say that's, you know, sattva, rajas, tamas? It's more like it manifests by its symptoms to us. And yeah, the more subtle it gets, I think it requires development of consciousness. What the ahankara is as a layer, I can't tell you at all. It's like, because false ego, it's more like I understand as a very subtle form of energy. So I guess you must have senses that can really sense this type of thing. What comes to my mind is also, let's say, Brahma, the four-headed Brahma, is visible to. He can make himself visible to also living entities, if you want, like us. But he has two other forms, and they're only partially visible to. There's the Hiranyagarbha, it said, is also one form of Brahma, and the demigods can see that form, and they actually appreciate and recognize because it's like very powerful. But then there's another. I don't forget the name. Which is practically the Mahatattva personified. And only Vishnu can see that form. It's so subtle or spiritual. So I think certain things are not in our capacity to grasp with our with the present conditions we have for mind and intelligence. We can only assume or speculate and see what Shastra tells us, but also not just the ahankara. What layer? How does intelligence look like, or the mind? The whole subtle. What are these layers? You know, it's some spheres. But it's certainly an interesting thing to think about. Yeah.
And just one other thing about Narayan. You were saying that they're equal. Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. Or Kshirodakasha Vishnu.
Garbhodakasha Vishnu, yeah.
He is equal to Narayan, right? Where is that from, or what's the connection, and like who is Narayan actually?
Yeah.
Is he just a Vishnu expansion because he's also of the, you know, after Chatuvyuha, right?
Chatuvyuha, yes. There's Shankarshan, there's the original Shankarshan from Chatuvyuha, and it said then there's the first Narayan. From him another Chatuvyuha comes, and from this Shankarshan again it's Mahavishnu, or like Karnataka Vishnu comes and expands. So there's a Narayan within the Vaikuntha sphere who doesn't live there, so to speak, but his expansions of Narayan, they were not different, maybe small in capacities. In the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Sri Rupa Goswami dedicates a lot of space to the different types of avatars and their distinctive features. And they are all called in the Tat Ekatma Rupas, like those forms which differ from Krishna in potency and form. There among them, there's the there are another two distinctions. Now I don't have them; they don't come to my mind. But yeah, and they have also among the Chatuvyuhas. Then they have slightly different, maybe capacities of power or qualities, or maybe slightly different features in terms of skin tone or whatever little feature differences which they recognize, and accordingly they behave in different moods. Sometimes more subordination, sometimes more equality. But yeah, the Laghu Bhagavatamrita is one source where you can see that.
Maybe simply put, what's the difference between Narayan and Vishnu?
Name.
Is it that with the different symbols?
Narayan, yeah, they are four-armed. Yeah, the four-armed features is all Vishnu Tattva. I mean, Vishnu, the word Vishnu meaning the one who pervades everything, whose consciousness is everywhere. And Narayan also describes, like every other name of Krishna as well, they describe, of course, certain qualities and activities of him. So names are always, Prabhupada sometimes says, God doesn't have a name. Everything the names we have describe activities and qualities. And Narayan, for example, relates to in the spiritual world, there's also, it's in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita as well, he explains how the same meanings, say Damodar, for example. Krishna, Damodar in Goloka Vrindavan means the one bound by rope. But Vishnu also has the name Damodar, but it's not because of that, because he wears a certain belt. And there are different names of Krishna and Vishnu, like given to different forms. They have the same name, but according to their, say, statures in tattva, or like the whatever expansion level they are, they might vary a bit in what it means. So also with Narayan, he has the one who is the resting place for the living entities, as Gavadakasha Vishnu is Mahavishnu as well, and also the one who manifests the waters from his skin pores and so on. Yeah, name difference only. Okay. Thank you very much. Kwantarchino Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. I would like to sketch them as well for lectures, but now next few weeks we have, no, because now we have like this week, Sunday, Prabhupada disciple coming as well for quite a few days, and Swami will be here. So, but you can tell me how long you are here, and we can exchange contacts, and we can